This episode of the BJJ Foxcast is brought to you by BioPro. BioPro is an all-natural alternative to prescription human growth hormone, which aids in recovery, anti-aging, metabolism, libido, immunity, skin health, cognition, sleep, and stress. Just one vial per day provides a substantial boost to all of these growth factors. Okay, so that's what they want me to say. Here's what I know as an aging grappler. I've been using BioPro Plus and the nighttime variant, BioPro Plus Cortisleep, for several months, and it feels like I've grown a third lung. My gas tank is noticeably bigger, my recovery is faster, and I'm back on the mats much quicker, not just between training sessions, but between rounds. Now you can get $30 off your first order of BioPro when you use the code Foxcast at www.bioproteintech.com. That's code Foxcast for $30 off your first order at www.bioproteintech.com. Thank you, BioPro. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the BJJ Foxcast. I am your host, Alex Martinez, and today I have none other than Tom DeBlass on the show. He is a veteran of the Bellator Fighting, UFC, ADCC, IBJJF, currently with one championship, author of How You Bear It, which I picked up recently on Amazon, philanthropist and founder of, you got it, founder of Buddies Over Bullies, a 4th degree black belt under Ricardo Almeida, and founder of Ocean County BJJ and the Tom DeBlass Jiu-Jitsu Association. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So I want to get right into it. There's so many things that I've just been researching and finding out about you. But let's start with the Buddies Over Bullies, man. I'm looking forward to reading your book, and I saw you on the Jocko podcast where he kind of broke it down. But can you go back into your history a little bit and how you came to really get passionate about this work that you're doing?
I've been through a lot in my life. Anyone who follows me knows that. And I was never the type of person to, they say hurt people, but that wasn't me. I was hurt and I wanted to help people. So like hurt people, help people. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not perfect. And there's people out there that'll tell you I'm an animal, but you got to ask who is the source telling you that? Like, what did they do to me first for me to become an animal? So I was bullied, not like terribly bullied as a kid, but I was bullied, but I just always hated bullies so much. And then a girl from my town, actually a younger girl, ended up taking her own life. Wow. And I heard it was due to bullying. And then I saw another video of a little girl was getting beat up by a group of boys on a bus. And I was just like, man, we got to help these kids, man. We got to do something, So that's when I got involved and started getting local jiu-jitsu schools in the area. Like, we got schools all over the world. So if somebody's bullied in like a certain town, I reach out to that jiu-jitsu academy and the academy that's in the town and ask if they're willing to sponsor that student for a few months or so. And I'm able to, I'm flying some people out to me this summer, early 2025, and me and Censored and I were flying a kid to Disney World. So it's like we're really able to help a lot of people. So it's really amazing.
Yeah, and I'm 51, so I'm not quite sure. You're not quite Are you 40 yet?
I'll be 42 in May.
42. So in our day, getting bullied pretty much ended like either after practice or school or whatever. But today's kids are bullied 24/7 with their phones and all that stuff. So it's got to be a rough life that they're in the middle of.
Bro, that's the thing. Everyone thinks it's easy to be a kid nowadays. It's not easy. I think it's harder than ever because social media, like there's no way out, man. No matter which way they turn, they're getting bullied. Yeah. It's just horrendous. It's horrible.
Yeah. For me, it was like, I grew up like really insecure. And for me, I kind of put up with a lot of shit because it was like bullying by exclusion. You know what I mean? Like they would leave me out of stuff and I didn't want to be left out. So I put up with their shit. So I carry that with me a lot. So I kind of resonate with some of the kids that are, with the stuff that they're going through.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I feel bad. Like it's so much cooler just to be kind than to be nice. I don't understand why. I just don't get the mentality of making someone else feel bad about themselves for no reason.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah. And so do people just go to the website and kind of volunteer as to be one of the academies that you would reach out to?
So people just find me. They'll message me on Instagram. They usually shoot me a message on DM. Sometimes I get emails. Sometimes I get Facebook. Sometimes somebody that knows me knows somebody that knows somebody that reaches out to me. If it's super important, I feel it tends to find me for sure. Yeah. So it's I'm lucky in that sense to where I have a huge reach, and my reach allows me to touch more people and to help more people. And that's really what it's about. My days are filled from morning till night, and some of my affiliates are going through some things right now. So I'm trying to help them as much as I possibly could. But people forget there's only one of me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I just found out I'm going to be announcing for ONE FC again early June. So my next few months, like next week I'm away, and then in May I'm going to be in Dubai. June I'm going to be in Thailand. Then I'm actually going to be in May. I'm going to be Ohio and Dubai. June is Thailand and North Carolina. July is Florida and Costa Rica.
Costa Rica, yeah.
ADCC is August, and then September I'm doing a camp in Turks and Caicos, right? And in between that, it's like a whirlwind. And whenever I travel somewhere, I have to go there and back because of my kids. I can't leave for a long time.
Right.
Like when I'm in Thailand, I'll be in the air longer than I'm on the ground. You know, that's what's crazy.
Wow,
you know?
man. Wow.
So yeah, back to the question you asked. It's like people, you know, right now, like it happens so fast. Like so many people took to it. I haven't even been able to keep up with everything yet.
Yeah.
And there's only one of me right now. I'm the only one really setting everything up. No one else is doing it besides me. We have somebody doing the website, my black belt Hayden. But as far as like setting up things, I'm the one doing it, you know? So it's hard for me to just get everything done all the time. And I think people forget that there's just one of me, you know what I mean? And I think it's easy to forget. And I do the best I could, but it's like, man, like people got to have patience with me because I literally, I can't do it all. I can't. I try, but I can't do it all. It's just too much, you know? So, but I think more people get it. I think they're starting to get it.
Yeah. And with all the stuff you have going on, man, how do you manage your energy? How do you manage your time?
You know, for me, it's pretty easy. Like, I don't need much sleep. I literally only sleep. Let's see. I'll tell you exactly what my sleep says for the last 30 days. My sleep average is 4 hours and 10 minutes.
Wow.
And I mean, my whole family's been like that. Like my grandfather used to sleep 4 hours a night. My mom doesn't really sleep that much. So, you know, for me, I compartmentalize things very well.
Yeah.
So I don't let one aspect of my life bleed into the other.
Yeah.
So no matter how stressful things may be, number one, I always remember everything's always okay. It always works out. So I try not to lose sleep over anything. I mean, that's years and years of experience, you know, years of heartbreak and overcoming heartbreak. And then number two, I just realized that like, I'm blessed to have this, you know, I'm lucky to be as busy as I am. So I embrace it. I ask God a lot to give me strength and wisdom, you know, daily to kind of navigate things the way he would want me to navigate things.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot, you know, it helps a lot. And I don't ever feel too stressed or I'm okay. Like I don't know. A lot of people ask, like people who are close to me, how do you do it? I'm like, I don't know. I think it's pretty easy. You know, like I just live, man. I stay in the moment and whatever comes my way, I do my best to take care of it. And if I can't, I can't. And that's it. Compartmentalize, you know,
that's great. Now, how long has it been since you've had like a, I hate to call it a regular job because you have a regular job, but you've been, you know, a jiu-jitsu competitor. You've been in Bellator, UFC, things that require 100% of your time and energy. You know, when was the last time you like worked for somebody?
Oh, I resigned from being a school teacher at 24 years old. Wow. So now I'm going to be 42. So I've been my own boss for all these years. And I announced for ONE FC now. So, you know, they're my boss in that sense. But I mean, I announce grappling matches. So it's pretty cool, you know. So I don't really have anybody like bossing me around. But at the same time, my students are my boss, you know.
Yeah.
Society is my boss. My followers are my boss. Like I have to serve them what they want to see. So you're never completely free, but I definitely have the path that I wish to have.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I really admire a lot of the things that you're doing, and I'm noticing that you know, and a lot of things that you talk about your brand, and I kind of equate that with your legacy. You know what I mean? And how would you want to be remembered? You know, like when it's all said and done.
Number one, someone who just gives his best, you know. There's been a lot of people who've competed much better than I have. You know, there's been a lot of people who, you know, they've done things better. I think as far as a school owner, I do it very, very well. I run a very, very successful business in that sense. But, somebody who truly wants to give back, somebody who wants to use his experience, his failure to help other people, a tough guy, a gritty guy, not the best, but I'm a guy that I don't roll over for anything or anybody, it's hard to break me. And someone who just really cares, I think that's really how I want to be remembered. Somebody who's helped other people, right? So let's say I help this guy, right? And this guy's going to commit suicide, and I help him not to commit suicide. Now I'm integrated in his bloodline forever because I helped him to live another day, So for me, perhaps some of it's almost selfish that I want to help other people because it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
So my intention's of course I want to help them, but after I help people, I feel so good personally. So I know that's a selfishness about it, but hey man, at the end of the day, I'm still helping people. So
yeah, no, that's great. Along the same lines, I noticed, is that the reason why you were so open and honest in your book?
Yeah, and I wasn't going to put the part in there where I was sexually abused, but my co-author really talked me into doing it. And I'm happy I did because it helped a lot of men. It happened to a lot of men that didn't talk about it before I spoke about it, So I always said my pain was for a purpose, I didn't suffer in vain. So my pain and my tough time was to help other people go through it. And what good is a story if you have not suffered, who wants an easy life? So I try to tell people going through hard times now, you're going through hard times, embrace it because these are chapters in your story that's going to be the most interesting.
Yeah.
No one wants to, when you read through my book, the best parts of the book aren't the good times. The best parts of the book are the bad times.
Yeah.
That's very ironic. The most entertaining is the most suffering. So that's why now if I have some bad days, I don't really care because I've been through it already. And I know the next day will be better, or, I don't ever stay in that funk for too long. And I know myself very well. I know my what vitamins I should be taking, my hormonal levels, all these things. I know myself very well. So you get used to bad days, but you don't want to stay in the bad days, but that is why I talk about it a lot to help other people for sure.
Yeah. And how do you cope with those, quote unquote bad times? What do you do now? I mean, obviously jiu-jitsu, but is there anything else that you do? Any kind of meditation or anything like that you do?
I pray a lot, I'm now, and I never used to do that. But when I pray, I just talk to God and I ask him directly for what I want. And number two, I just try to focus on the good things. And I try to remember all right, I might be stressed out now, but look back, when I was a little kid, how stressful times were then, or look at some things that people are going through. And they say, don't compare yourself to others. It's not that I'm comparing myself to others, but I'm comparing my life to another life that could be much harder and much worse. And they say not to do that. They say never to tell somebody who's suffering, oh, it could always be worse. But for me, I do like to tell myself it could always be worse because it could be worse, And at the end of the day, as long as the people I love are healthy and okay, I'm happy. That's all that matters. My own existence doesn't mean much to me personally. I only live for the people. That's the dog. I only live for the people that I love. And it's I'm happy. I'm a happy, and just because I say I only live for the people I love, it doesn't mean that I'm not a happy person. I found happiness in helping.
Yeah.
I found serving my kids and the people that I love. And for me, that's what it's all about. Life really, without that, I don't really have too much reason to live. And I have such faith in God that I'm not afraid of death.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to die. So like I said, the biggest reason why I live is because I have to teach I'm sorry, I'm trying to put this chain on my dog.
No, it's all good.
I have kids how to live, but they're not ready for me to leave yet.
Yeah.
That's one thing that worries me about death, is because if I leave too soon, I don't think my kids are ready for that, But give them another 10 years or so. Not that you're ever ready for someone you love, like your father, to die, but at least they'll be more ready to take on the world, for sure.
Yeah. There's a fine line between preparing your kids for the world and protecting them from it, right? You gotta,
man. Because I worry too, because my life. They're playing the flute in the other room now. My life was so hard, and that's one of the reasons I'm so successful. So I worry, is my kids' lives too easy?
Yeah.
Like the fact that he knows I'm doing an interview right now and he's blowing on a flute right now in his room. He doesn't really have any fear in his heart in me, you know? But I don't want him to be scared of me. I want him to respect me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's constantly, it's hard to be a father, you know?
Yeah.
You don't know exactly how hard to push and when to put your foot down. And for me, seeing my kids sad or in pain is like, it reminds me of me, the little Tom. So it's like really messed up. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. They say, what do they say? Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men.
Yeah.
I hope that my good times don't make my kids weak, but we'll find out, right? We could only learn what we learn, you know?
Well, I think if they inherit your work ethic, I think they're going to be just fine, bro.
I pray. I surely pray.
Yeah. 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 So let's talk about jiu-jitsu for a minute, because if I don't, my listeners won't let me live it down. When did you start jiu-jitsu?
I was 20 years old.
20 years old. And what got you into it?
I always loved to fight. I fought a lot my entire life. I was a track and field star. I was a 23-foot long jumper, and I tore my ligaments in my ankle, and I couldn't jump anymore. So I started Taekwondo again, and I was getting disqualified for too much contact. So then I heard, like, you know, this UFC stuff is pretty cool. So I started training. Wasn't even training jiu-jitsu. I was just training a lot of like kickboxing and striking. And I fought. I was training another school. I fought when I was only training for like 4 months. Got my ass whooped. Fought a really, really tough guy. I stayed there for like another 8 months, and then I found Ricardo Almeida, or Kurt Pellegrino. And Kurt Pellegrino was training Ricardo Almeida. And from there, I just fell in love with jiu-jitsu, man. You know, I used to drive an hour and a half each way, there and back 5 days a week. And just, I would train 3 hours a night. Like I trained, there's never been a week I've missed of training ever in over 20 years.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And that's through surgeries, that's through everything. I've always found a way to get on the mats. Even if I wasn't able to physically roll, I was on the mats. You know what I mean? So I just love it, man. You know, there's nothing better. And I truly love to teach now. So much more than I love to compete, I love to teach.
Yeah. I mean, I got into teaching kind of by accident. I was like a helper, you know, in the academy for my instructor, and then the kids coach quit, and so I got propelled into that position. But I'll tell you what, man, like having that responsibility always brought me back. You know, like from a tough loss or something that just quite didn't go right, I'd go back, and the kids' energy just kind of fills you up, you know, and you're back, you know, and it just kind of grew from there.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, it's hard to be a teacher because no matter what day you're going through, you have to be on point. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that comes through experience. You know, I've made so many mistakes as an instructor, man. I look back, and I'm sure there's some people that trained under me 15 years ago that will say I was like a total jerk off. And you know what? They're not 100% wrong. You know, I was a very intense kid. I was very intense. I trained hard. I was like that dude that, like, you cringe from what they're talking about, mental toughness, this and that, but I actually lived it. You know what I mean? Like, I was that guy. Like, you couldn't break me, man. I was a madman, but at the same time, that's not for everybody. And that's what I understand. Yeah. You know, like, bro, I used to be so crazy. I used to burn like a knife with a lighter and then put it in my skin, right? Just to feel that pain. But if I cringed at all, if I winced at all, I would have to do it again, right? So I have scars all over my body. And it wasn't even like I was trying to, like, I wasn't like a cutter.
Right.
I was doing it to make sure I could stay mentally tough when I do it. Like, something was a little wrong.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I did that for many years, but I never looked at it as like, it wasn't a form of sadness. I just was a friggin' maniac. So
yeah.
I learned a lot over the years about what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, for sure. So, do you find that having those experiences kind of makes you pause a little bit before you talk to, like, you know, kids in the class or younger people that are coming in, you know, with, you know, for me, it's like, you know, when you got a guy that's in his like late 20s that talks about injuries, I'm like, dude, I'm 51, bro. Don't talk to me about pain.
Like, these kids think they know what they're talking about, and you don't know what you don't know. So a lot of the times they just don't get it.
Yeah.
You know, and surely my experience, it went through stages. Like, at first my experience would make me frustrated with them. You know, like, how dare you be so naive? Now my experience helps me to be patient with them and helps me to try to explain things a little more. and let them understand that, listen, the way things seem to be, could you turn that down, baby? Please. All right, but could you please? The way things seem to be aren't that way. And again, you don't know what you don't know. And some people you could tell them that and they hear it, they listen. Other people need to experience it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I hope, like my kids, I hope they don't need to experience it. I hope my words are enough for them.
Yeah.
I hope my experience, I suffered so they don't have to suffer. But you never know, man. Maybe they're going to need to see it themselves, you know?
Yeah.
Let my dog in again.
No worries. Yeah. They'll find, I mean, they're going.
I have to tell them one more time to turn that down. I'm going to be so upset. Could you please turn it down, babe? Like right now. Thank you.
Justin, I don't again. Thank you.
Go to Destin's house right now. Go. I'm going to hold Teddy. Go. Run. Sorry about that, man.
No worries, man. No worries at all. This is actually great, man. It's like the human side of you. You know what I mean? It's awesome.
Bro, and my house is like the house that, like, it's the neighborhood house. You know what I mean? Like that. You laugh. Like, I'll be sleeping and like they don't care, man. Dad. Wake me up. Doesn't matter if I'm sleeping. I could get right home from Asia. He don't give a damn. He wakes me up with no regard. You know?
Yeah, man.
So, you know, man, I saw something the other day when it's like when your kids grow, you know, all the things that, you know, piss us off now, what we would do for those days again, like how he just walked out, dad, like, surely he got to know, you know, when to quiet down and when to show respect, you know, but at the same time, that innocence that he has to not even know, like it's a big deal. He don't look at me as Tom DeBlass. He looks at me as dad.
Yeah.
You know, so like that innocence, I know when it's gone, I'll miss it so much. So I don't ever like raise my voice at my kids because I don't know, man. I'm too soft for them. And I think a lot of it's because, like I said, I've been through so much as a kid.
Yeah.
And the thing is this, if my kids are sad, like their sadness is real. Like before, my dog ate one of my son's Play-Doh airplanes. He makes airplanes and stuff with Play-Doh, with clay. And he got so upset, you know, and, you know, it's easy to say, oh, toughen up, it's okay. But for him, that was important to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he made that clay airplane and like it meant a lot to him. So it's like, I sympathize with his sadness, but I need to help him understand, like, hey, man, sometimes life is going to be tough. Like, you know what? You might have got your clay airplane ate right now. One day you're going to owe $300,000 in taxes, right? Like, life is real, brother.
Yeah.
You know, problems, but we got to learn how to roll with the punches and make another airplane, bro. That's it. Relax, chill.
That sounds like the title of your next book.
It should be. Which one? Roll the punches or make another airplane?
Make another airplane.
That doesn't sound bad.
I love that. Yeah, but hey, I've always been curious about the book writing process. You know, I'm sure you came to a situation where you're like, maybe I should put it on paper. I don't know how long that took to actually get started, but did you keep journals or did you keep like anything like that?
No, I had a co-author. So basically it was like, we spoke on WhatsApp for like 2 years straight and he saved everything and he put it into a book. Me personally, my mind, like I could write very, very well. Like people are, oh, you post so much. Literally, it takes me 2 seconds to think a post. I'm not like, even though it seems like I'm on social media every day, it's a very, very small part of my day. It's easy for me. Speaking is easy for me. So writing is easy for me. So that was one thing, you know, to get my thoughts out. Whether it was him that wrote it down or me, it would have been the same thing. You know, it's just a matter of taking the time out to do it. Sometimes my only issue is my mind works faster than I could type, you know, but I recommend to anybody just, you know, get your thoughts down, you know, get your thoughts down on paper. Then it's about organizing them. You know, and it always works to have a co-author for sure.
Yeah, I keep a journal, you know, off and on, but I really started this podcast so that, you know, when I'm dead and gone, my grandkids or great grandkids can kind of watch these. And, you know, because my great grandfather was, you know, my family's from Mexico, and my great grandfather was like a leader in his community. So they would have meetings and they would have meeting notes, and my mom has books with his meeting notes, and I can like read his thoughts, you know?
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's so cool.
I wish I knew what his voice sounded like.
Yeah. That's interesting. I think a lot about like writing a journal to my kids every day. But then a part of me, like when I'm gone, I want them to remember the lessons I teach them, but I don't want them to be caught up in trying to remember me. I want them to put me where I belong. And that's, although I'll always be with them in the present, like I don't want them to harp on the loss. If I could have them feel no pain when I die, that's the way I would want it. So I want them to remember the lessons. And there's a lot of podcasts I've done that they could listen to and stuff. But even if I did like a video a day for my kids, you just gave me an idea. Like maybe I could start doing that. Just giving a video a day for my kids starting now. That's pretty cool for sure.
Yeah, there was a movie I saw where this guy found out he had a brain tumor and he was going to die. So he started putting a camera up, and he was teaching his son, who was an infant, like how to walk into a room and shake someone's hand and how to greet people, and just teaching them life lessons like that. I thought that was pretty cool.
This shit kills me. It is cool, but it's so tough, man. It's so hard to hear.
Yeah. It's it's our mortality, man. And the older you get, it's just more and more in your face,
Man, that's wild, man.
Yeah.
The only thing promised in this life is death.
Yep.
The moment we're born, we're not promised love. We're not promised happiness. We're not promised peace. We're not promised success. We're not promised failure, but we are promised death.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing people are most afraid of most times, The one thing that is a constant for everybody that can never betray us, right? Death can never betray us.
Yeah.
And that's what we fear the most. It's very ironic when you think about it.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Yeah, what was the other one? Like the second one was like public speaking or something ridiculous like that, But yeah. So tell me about I've always been curious about people who actually fight in like UFC and Bellator. I mean, it's got to be a pretty decent rush, but leading up to that, what's the training like? Like, what's a typical day in a fighter's life?
It was hard for me, man, because my daughter was born after like my second fight. And I had a very successful academy already. So I would wake up and drive wake up like 5:30, drive like 45 minutes to my boxing coach. I would hit pads for like an hour and a half. And then I would drive to Ricardo Almeida's, which is like 45 minutes or like 30 minutes from there. And then I would do either like sparring or wrestling. Then I would drive home, hang out with my kid, maybe take a nap, then go to my school, teach a class, and then train like jiu-jitsu or wrestling again. And basically do that every day. But it was hard, man, because I never could just focus on fighting full time. I had my academy. So it was very, very exhausting.
Yeah.
Mentally exhausting. It's not for the faint of heart. Like having an academy, training for the highest levels, like having having kids, like it's just, it was not easy at all, but I'm thankful for it. I sparred a lot. I sparred more than I should have back then. We were sparring hard, like 4 or 5 days a week, which is crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
I never wore headgear or nothing. I just would go in and, I liked to spar.
Yeah.
I like throwing hands better than I like jiu-jitsu. Not anymore though. I literally haven't sparred. Well, maybe I sparred once or twice since I retired from MMA, but I can't justify getting hit in my head anymore.
Yeah.
For what? Like it's not like for a hobby. That don't even make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing when you're getting paid, right? But I guess the training has changed a lot. More people are hitting mitts than sparring, and it's changed a little bit, don't you think?
Yeah, I think the best thing is like for me hitting mitts, like I always hit a lot of mitts, but I don't think that really ever transitioned well for me in the cage. I think you have to spar, but just a different level of sparring, just a little softer.
Yeah.
But you have to have that movement. You have to have somebody in your face. You know what I mean? Like you have to, the diff, like when you hold somebody and you're wrestling, right, to punching again, like that's a huge thing that you got to get used to, right? Like if you're not wrestling in between pads, like you don't get it,
right?
Like you do as many pad rounds as you want, but get somebody to hold your arms down or put you on the ground, and then you have to stand back up and wrestle. Like, it gets exhausting, you know? So MMA training is just so tiring, man. I still think boxing, sparring, is harder than anything because there's no way out. Like, you have to throw punches, bro. You can't hold. You go to hold and it's broken up.
Yeah.
And when you're exhausted and somebody's throwing punches at you and you can't clinch, like, it's a really hard thing to deal with, man.
Yeah.
You know, so I think boxing is the toughest sport, to be quite honest. It's even tougher than wrestling. I really mean that, because in wrestling, you're not getting your face beat in either.
Yeah.
You know, I've done both. You know, I never boxed at a high level or wrestled at a high level, but I've wrestled with high level wrestlers and I boxed with high level boxers.
Yeah.
It sucks equally, you know, like, it's just not fun.
Yeah.
But I think toughness wise, tougher boxing. You know, you leave with a headache, you're concussed. It's just not easy.
Yeah, and even in kickboxing, you can kind of displace that kinetic energy, right, with a little, you know, a little front kick that doesn't quite land that punch. And with boxing, there is no defense to it. I mean,
no, it's brutal.
Yeah.
You know, especially against guys that are high level and they're striking that, you know, it's like impossible to hit them. Like, you could throw everything you got. They just know how to cover. They know how to move, and then they're firing back at you. It's like, oof, it's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah.
But I always boxed my whole life. I boxed from the time I was a little guy. Like, my dad really showed me how to throw my hands. I started boxing actually when I was like 10. And then I stopped. But then with my friend, we would always box together. Like, it sounds like, oh yeah, I'm a street fighter. I wasn't a street fighter, but our pastime was boxing each other. Okay. You know, so yeah. So I was pretty used to it.
Yeah. What about wrestling in high school or college or anything like that? Did you do that?
No. I was always a super tough kid, strong kid, but I never wrestled. You know, I always had like good instinct.
Yeah.
I had one of the best wrestlers in the country. I was friends with Mark Worthy. He was a 3-time New Jersey state champion. Wow. And, you know, I'd move around with him, and, you know, you could tell that I had good instinct, but I never wrestled for, I wrestled in 7th grade and I lost to a girl. And then after that, I never wrestled again.
That's wild, man. Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know, I have a bunch of, you know, I have a pretty decent sized kids program, and I'm seeing a lot of the kids, they kind of bounce back and forth from wrestling and jiu-jitsu. And I'm seeing them like put it together, not just like, you know, wrestling translates to jiu-jitsu pretty well, but now they're figuring out how to use the jiu-jitsu in the wrestling matches, which is pretty interesting. I don't know how long people have been doing that, but it seems like it's fairly new.
It's something new, man. It's something that's happening more. They're able to use that funk style in jiu-jitsu and bring that to the wrestling, you know? And my dog knows how to open doors now. It's the craziest thing ever. Get out.
What kind of dog is it?
He's a golden doodle, and he knows how to open the handle. It's the craziest thing, man. You know, like, he's such a smart dog. He thinks he's a pit bull.
Yeah.
He's out of his mind, but yeah, he just opened the playroom door. I had to go shut it. He does everything he's not supposed to do.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you got your hands full, dude, everywhere you go.
Oh my gosh, bro. You're telling me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It never ends.
Yeah. Tell me about your academy, man. When'd you start that?
I was 24. I was a special ed teacher, and then I started teaching jiu-jitsu, and within 6 months I had like 150 students.
Whoa.
And I resigned from being a school teacher, and, you know, we've just grown. And now all I do is teach one class a day.
Nice.
My 5:30 class. I don't do any of the introductory classes. I don't do any of the enrollments. Nothing. I just teach, you know, and I talk and I help. Sure. You know what I mean? Like, people need to talk or they need help with something, I'll do that. But it took a long time to get to that level. I've been open now for 18 years, you know, so it's wild to think about, man. We made it through the housing crash. We made it through the pandemic, obviously. And, you know, I don't see how I could ever fail, because I truly care so much, you know, and I don't ever let myself get comfortable. You know, now that I'm not competing and stuff, like, I don't know, like, you know, I stay more fit now, I feel, than I was when I was competing, you know, because, like, I'm not competing now. So I can't, you know, say, oh, it's okay if I'm a little out of shape because I'm still world class in jiu-jitsu, right? No, I'm not out there competing.
Yeah.
So I have to be fit. I'm getting older. I have to take care of myself. You know, I have to look the part for my students and keep inspiring them, and they inspire me. And I just had a little interaction with one of my students. He's in his 50s, and at my school, I asked him if he wanted some water. He was a little tired. He's like, no. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, God forbid I ask Kevin if he needs help. You know, he doesn't want help. Then he messaged me. He said, hey, Tom, like, I hope I didn't offend you by saying I didn't want water. I said, brother, you never offend me. Like, you're nothing short of great.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I'm just super thankful to be at OCBJJ. You know, it means a lot to me. And I said, this little interaction we just had proves why we are so successful, right? Yeah. Because you have the instructor so appreciative of the student. You have the student so appreciative of the instructor. It's never me.
Yeah.
You know, it's always give and get back, not give and take. Right. Give and get back. And that's why the academy is the way it is. When I first started, I was much different. I was much more intense, but you have to set the culture, you know, like if you don't set the culture, people will run all over you, you know? Yeah. So now that the culture is set, I don't really need to be intense anymore. I kind of had the presence when I walk in somewhere. It demands respect, you know?
Yeah.
I don't really need to ask for it, you know? And I think a big reason is because I respect everybody.
Yeah.
No, I don't walk in with a scowl. I walk in with a smile.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you see a pretty big dude that's scarred up smiling at you, you're like, hey, maybe I should smile back.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I feel the same way, man. At 51, I'm the academy owner. My wife and I own the academy.
Great, bro. You look fantastic, man.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I feel the same way. Like you said, you've got to have that persona. You've got to be almost like a walking billboard, right? I mean, you have, you know, the funny thing is like, do you know Kishinho, Osvaldo? Kishinho, he's a black belt Brazilian dude here in Arizona. You know, he told me once, he goes, you know, I'm under him, you know, we're in the same association. And he and I talk a lot. And he says, you know, I have an academy with, you know, 3 world champions, but no one cares, you know, when they walk through the door because they don't know.
No one gives a damn.
Right.
People can't even make them feel.
Yes.
But people also want to look at you and say, wow, I wouldn't mind looking like that guy when I'm his age.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind acting like that guy.
Yeah.
You know, and I haven't always been that way. There's been times I was a total dick and people in the room didn't understand why I was being a dick, right? Like maybe I was super intense with one student and they didn't understand why I was intense with that one student.
Yeah.
You know, like I had an incident happen not too long ago. There was a teenager. He was bullying kids and he beat up an innocent kid for no reason, you know, and he was about to get expelled from school. And his dad was like, listen, you tear into him today. You could whoop his ass if you want. Get through to him that he needs to change. So, man, when I tell you I went hard at him, I went hard. I was talking all kinds of shit. Picture like a high school wrestling room, you know, where the coaches don't bite their tongue. Yeah. And it was the pro training room, but I would let some, you know, kids in there. And one of the mothers in there, she didn't know what was going on with the kid and I. And she like took extreme offense thinking I was attacking this kid for no reason.
Yeah.
I'm like, woman, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, I wouldn't go in there and think I know how to do your job. You don't know how to do mine.
Yeah.
And you also don't know how to raise a man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's times in raising a man, you have to hug them and just tell them you love them. Like I never have to get that intense with my son because he never made me get that way.
Yeah.
Right. But this kid, obviously, it was to the point of he's whooping people's asses for no reason. That's a problem.
Yeah. That's not,
you know?
Yep.
But at the same time, I look back, could I have done that differently? I mean, sure, there's always things we could do differently, right? Yeah. And that's the part of being a human, you know, is understanding we're going to make mistakes. And it's not easy. You know, the bigger your school gets, the more personalities you have and the more people you have to please and serve. And it's not an easy thing, man. Yeah. And people don't get it, bro. They just they'll never understand.
Yeah,
you know,
I've got a buddy who's been he's a personal trainer and he's been in business for himself for about 18 years now. You know, so he's been around, and he tells me he gave me some of the best advice because I worked a corporate job until 2 years ago. You know, we had the academy almost 4 years, so I was still doing my corporate job, but he's like he goes, don't think of it as time management. Think of it as energy management because when you're dealing with people, it takes energy,
bro. 100%, man. It will drain you like I can tell you how many people I put my heart and soul into, only for them to not do the same in return.
Yeah.
You know, when you just got to learn how to roll with the punches, man. You know, one thing I realized now is like my personal life is great. Like I'm a very blessed guy. You know, I have my legacy set. I have my association. Like I'm very lucky, you know. So personally, I have everything I have because of the character that I've had over the years. Like because of what I've done, how I've interacted with people, how I've interacted with people who have helped me. So if someone wants to take an opposite road that I took and really not show the appreciation that I've shown, like that's something that they're going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
That's something that they got to understand on their own. You know, I always say, like, especially in New Jersey, I'm a good guy to be friends with, you know, like I know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, like anything people need, for sure I could help them obtain it, you know? And, I wouldn't want to burn bridges with me, not for any fearful reasons, but because why wouldn't you want somebody that could get you anything that you need, right?
Absolutely.
Like I have so many people that I could rely on, and I'm so blessed and lucky to have that. I don't want to burn these bridges, you know? So I think some of these young kids need to understand the same, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, and a lot of it comes from, you know, I think a lot of it comes from, you know, that things just being handed to people. They almost expect it from people, you know?
It's so crazy, dude. Like I was talking about it today, like when I was in high school, my track and field coach, like I was parking on campus, told me not to do it. I kept doing it. Finally, the principal didn't even say nothing to me. He just told my track coach. I got in the locker room. He grabbed me by my throat. He threw me up against the wall with like strangling me, talking all kinds of trash, right? He let me go. I looked around. Everybody's just sitting there like it never happened. I'm like, oh, you bunch of cowards. Like, I'm just getting abused right here. You guys don't say a thing. And it was the best thing that could have happened to me.
Yeah.
You know? Could you imagine if that happened nowadays? No. Oh, my God, bro.
No.
Oh, my God. But at the same time, I think the problem is so many people have taken advantage of situations like that, where they've wrongfully done things like that. So who is the judge for when it's right and when it's wrong? I'm not the one I would never want to do. Like, I've never put my hands on my kids. That's personal. That's just me. I've never hit my kids.
Right.
You know, but I'm not going to say if somebody spanks their kids that they're a bad parent. So, because, you know, there's a difference between spanking your kid and beating your kid, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, it's nowadays everybody wants without the work, you know, everybody just, and the moment they get uncomfortable, they run the other way. They don't know that you're supposed to be uncomfortable.
Right.
You have to find comfort in uncomfort.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you have to learn how to be uncomfortable, man, you know, and that's what's crazy nowadays is that people don't get that. And I don't know why they don't get it. I think people are told so often, like, you know, they seek comfort and they look at success as comfortability, right? But at the same time, like success is not comfort. Success is happiness.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Success is happiness.
Yes.
And in order to find happiness, you need to reach your full potential.
Yep.
And in order to reach your full potential, you have to be very, very uncomfortable for most likely many, many years. Mm-hmm. But the sooner you become comfortable in those uncomfortable situations, the better your life will get. Like, that's why I could handle so many different things going on. My day, from day to day, when I wake up and it's like on my phone, there's a million things I got to deal with. And some of it is really heavy stuff, man.
Yeah.
But for me, it doesn't stress me because I've been here before. I compartmentalize everything. So no matter, I don't care, like, if I have the biggest event in the world that I'm walking into, I could deal with another problem right before I do it. And then that problem is done. Boom. Now it's on to the next thing. These kids nowadays don't know how to do that.
No.
They don't know how to do that because the moment they're uncomfortable, they run away.
Yep.
They find something else to be comfortable. But you have not found success yet. You haven't found success yet because you haven't found your happiness. You haven't found your happiness because you haven't reached your full potential. You haven't reached your full potential because you never allowed yourself to suffer. That's what it comes down to, man.
I love it. Yeah, man. You know, and like you said, the tough times in your book are what got you, you know, were the kind of the springboard, right, to get you to that success. So it's something that we all should live by, man. Listen, I want to be respectful for your time. You said 45 minutes. We could keep going. I would love to, but it's totally up to you.
I would, but look what's happening right now. Ready? One. Oh, I heard a door open. I heard a little thought. Your head. Are you okay, babe? Are you all right?
Yeah.
What happened? the dog and the son. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up for now.
Right on, man.
Get this guy back to bed.
Well, thank you again for doing it.
Please? You see me on here? Sorry, man.
No worries, no worries. I just want to make sure that everybody knows how to find you and how to get the book, How You Bear It. I bought it on Amazon, but I'm sure it's available wherever books are sold.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and right now, if you don't follow me on Instagram, in order to follow me, you have to type in my full name. There's a shadow ban on me. I've been getting hit with a lot of violations for like the most minimal things. Like ever since I started talking about Jesus, like my page is just like I got a violation. I posted an incident where two people were yelling at each other, and I was like, this guy's wrong for doing what he's doing, and I got a violation for that, right?
Unbelievable.
I got a buddy, Ryan, a mutual friend, Ryan, he's a godsend, and he's working to get those violations lifted, which he will soon. But right now, if you want to find me, you got to type in Tom DeBlass, the entire thing. Otherwise, my name won't pop up, right? So other than that, if you guys need me, make sure if it's something really important, just type attention in all capital letters in the DM. Do it over and over until I answer. I get hundreds and hundreds of messages a week, but you know, I do my best to help people who truly, truly need it, right? So I have fun, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Tom, and I'm looking forward to meet you in person someday.
Likewise, brother. Likewise. If you need anything, let me know.
I will. Thank you.
Text me your Instagram so I can follow you.
I will. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You got it, brother.
All right.
Bye-bye.
This episode of the BJJ Foxcast is brought to you by BioPro. BioPro is an all-natural alternative to prescription human growth hormone, which aids in recovery, anti-aging, metabolism, libido, immunity, skin health, cognition, sleep, and stress. Just one vial per day provides a substantial boost to all of these growth factors. Okay, so that's what they want me to say. Here's what I know as an aging grappler. I've been using BioPro Plus and the nighttime variant, BioPro Plus Cortisleep, for several months, and it feels like I've grown a third lung. My gas tank is noticeably bigger, my recovery is faster, and I'm back on the mats much quicker, not just between training sessions, but between rounds. Now you can get $30 off your first order of BioPro when you use the code Foxcast at www.bioproteintech.com. That's code Foxcast for $30 off your first order at www.bioproteintech.com. Thank you, BioPro.